Welcome to the show. News from the war front. Concerns over a possible new war with Iran to be launched by Donald Trump are growing after we learned that diplomats and government employees being removed from a number of countries. Donald Trump asked about it, and his response does not exactly inspire peaceful confidence. Remember, Donald Trump, we were told, was the real anti-war guy. Tulsi Gabbard was supposedly the real anti-war Democrat back in whatever year she ran. Trump is the real anti-war candidate. But we knew that this was typical right-wing populist rhetoric dressed up as an actual concern for peace when there is really no concern for peace. And we often hear about forever wars. Tulsi would talk about them. Trump would end the forever wars and bragged about bringing troops home, and he'd be the guy that won't drag the United States into any bloody conflicts. Well, now he's setting the stage for a war with Iran. Reuters is now reporting that Donald Trump is, quote, less confident that any nuclear deal with Iran is possible. This is the same Trump who, of course, tore up the existing Iran deal, which was working during his first term, on the promise that that was a bad deal from Barack Obama and that he would get a better deal. The better deal never happened. And now Donald Trump is floating the idea that there may be no choice but very ugly stuff. Here's Trump last night at the Kennedy Center, where he was brutally booed. We'll get to that later. But here's what he had to say about this.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But they are we've given notice to move out, and we'll see what happens.
Is there anything that can be done to dial the temperature down in the region?
They can't have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. We're not going to allow that.
There you go. So diplomats are now being pulled from the region. Israel is reportedly ready for an attack. American officials are bracing for retaliation against American targets. So none of this feels like deterrence. Everything that's happening feels more like preparation. And then Trump there was asked, can we avoid an escalation? And he says they cannot have a nuclear weapon, plain and simple, which of course is what the deal that he scrapped was meant to achieve. And we had no evidence when Trump bailed on that deal during his first term that Iran was violating terms of the agreement. So we have no plan, no replacement deal with Iran, which Trump has been promising now for what, 8 years, 7, 8 years? No diplomacy, certainly. We have just a vague threat, as if a war with Iran would be this clean, remote-controlled affair. Remember, when George W. Bush went into Iraq in 2003, some may be too young to remember that. We were going to be greeted as liberators, and it would take a few days or weeks, and then we know how that turned out. So Trump even adding that we might be able to do this without people dying, whatever that means. So understand the sequence here. This is yet another situation where they really want to confuse you about the historical record. We had a functioning nuclear deal. There had been claims made by Benjamin Netanyahu during Donald Trump's first term that Iran was not abiding by the terms of the deal. But we had no proof of that whatsoever. All the evidence pointed to Iran is abiding by the terms of the deal. Trump doesn't like it, mostly because it had Obama's name on it. Trump didn't like anything that Obama did, so he pulled out. And what does Iran do? The obvious thing, not something I want to see them do. I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. But they start ramping up enrichment. Of course they would if Trump gets out of the deal, because Trump unilaterally pulled out. International inspectors confirmed at the time that Iran was complying with the deal's terms, but Trump got out of it, scrapped it anyway, said he could get us a better deal. Like the healthcare bill, like the trade agreements, like all of it, the better Iran deal never materialized. So Iran resumes nuclear enrichment, tensions skyrocket, the U.S. loses leverage. The U.S. obviously has lost credibility because we just get out of deals that the next president doesn't like. And Trump now says, I don't know that we're going to be able to get a new deal. And now war is implicitly being floated as the next step. So understand that none of this is anti-war. This is a blueprint for war. And it's authored by, catalyzed by Donald Trump's incompetent belligerence. It's not theoretical. The costs of a war with Iran would be catastrophic. We're talking about at least thousands dead, a regional implosion. We're talking about global chaos. If all you care about is your 401k and your stocks, they are going. If you think it's erratic when Trump announces tariffs, just wait until you see a war escalate in Iran. But this is how Trump supporters talk about it. You look online and you'll find people kind of casually cheering it on. If we have to go to war, so be it. Right before saying that they're applying for disability and wouldn't be getting drafted no matter what happens. So it's very easy to pound the war drums when you're never going to hear the blast or feel the repercussions. And even Russia is trying to step in with an off-ramp, offering to take Iran's enriched uranium. This is how dangerously close we are to something irreversible. The anti-war image of Trump was always a scam. It was a marketing line. And now with potential war on the horizon, the scam's becoming very real. And meanwhile, why is Trump dressed like this? Because he's going to see Les Mis at the Kennedy Center while we have protests in the streets, Marines in the National Guard in LA and soon to be elsewhere, I believe, and war on the brink in Iran. The question is whether the American public is going to fall for it again, or are we going to see it as the obvious lie dressed up as peace, dragging us to war that it is? Well, Americans seem to know something is wrong, and the protests this weekend are going to be huge.